Calma, guys. Não pergunta sobre o que é, só aprecia a obra. A evolução de Arcane, a Rosa Negra irá desabrochar. Avisando, tem spoiler de Arcane muito provavelmente. Se você não quer tomar spoiler de Arcane, talvez não seja interessante você assistir isso daqui. Já avisando. Eu também não vi tudo. Até mais, guys. Quem for sair. Começou. Fudeu. Mas tá sem AD. Minha live não tem AD. Aumentei um pouco. Runzinho não, velho. Meu Deus. WW Mel. O Viktor.
Promised to help, but you stole everything from us.
I could always take more. You still needlessly suffer.
I think we've done enough.
Ah, mano. Quem era? Quem era essa? Eu não quero voltar, mas quem era? Será que era LeBlanc? LeBlanc? Tá.
So no spoilers, but have you seen the most recent episode?
Of course, it was amazing. How about that scene where the Chem Barons team up with Jinx and Vi in order to take down the Enforcers and the Firelights? But it all came down to the giant Hextech of Mumu and the Blitzcrank, and I think I'm talking about the ranked game I played before bed last night.
That reminds me. I need to tell everybody how the set is evolving.
It all felt so real.
Hey tacticians, we're back so soon, but so much has happened. If you're still catching up on Arcane's second season and want to avoid spoilers, I'd suggest coming back to this video at a later point.
Ó,
Consider yourself
cuidado.
Hopefully you've been having fun with the set so far, but if there's anything we know about the world of Arcane, it's that you should never let your guard down. Things are about to change.
O quê? Vai ser diferente! Não vai trocar só as peças!
Characters were missing from the set. That's because we wanted to wait until we could give them the entrance they deserve. Warwick, Viktor, and Mel are joining into the Arcane as ultra-powerful 6 costs. They're rare, extremely rare, lucky to even see one rare. But when you do come across them, prepare to insta-buy. Alright, let's introduce the trio. First up, Warwick. He jumps around, executing enemies, and as soon as a few have died, Warwick enters a frenzied state, becoming unstoppable, ripping enemies apart with increased damage and omnibird. If you see a Warwick on the enemy board, do your best to deal with him first, or it's going to be a rough one.
Experimento,
Next,
né?
there's Viktor. Because after everything that went down in Season 2, the transformation seemed in order. Lucky for us, the League team provided us one glorious, extremely tall evolution. This 6-cost fires his death ray instead of auto-attacking, can stun entire boards, and will make everyone a believer, whether they like it or not.
Caralho, what the fuck? Que
Last but not
aconteceu?
least, Mel. Mel is at the peak of her power, dashing around the battlefield, reducing damage to allies, and unleashing stored damage. And the kicker is Mel's last stand. She'll shield your tactician from death. Time to clap back. We can't wait to see how players evolve their strategy to incorporate
Mano.
these late-game win conditions. Let's head up to our Council of Devs to talk about bringing Arcane into TFT with our new 6 costs.
Zoado? Como assim, cara?
So with the 6
Que
costs, we had a
incrível!
really exciting gambit to make and a really exciting challenge, frankly. These champions have to be cooler than every other champion who's ever been in TFT. They have to be more powerful than every champion who's ever been in TFT, and they have to be bigger than every champion who's been in TFT.
E aí, Canato, valeu
Luckily,
pelos
these are
4
characters
meses.
we're
Tamo
really
junto. E aí,
passionate
Zark,
about,
obrigado
we're really
pelos
excited
13.
about. We
Teus,
love
obrigado
all
pelos
3,
4.
Mel, Warwick, and Viktor. So let's get right
Não
into
resisti, tô aqui
the rarity
vendo.
of them. I think that was a really defining factor of how we get to make these guys special.
They have to be the biggest, the coolest, and the strongest units TFT has ever seen.
Eu tô muito de cara de que eles não vão só trocar campeões e sim adicionar coisa. Que incrível!
Amazing, cool characters and experience the battles and the tension and the high moments from the shell.
Isso
And the
muda
way we're gonna do that
tudo.
is, first, they got to be a little bit rarer, right? Players are probably not going to see them until like the middle of stage 5, and more likely you're going to see them on stage 6. And they're not going to be in every game. You're not going to see one every single game. But when you do, they should be these huge.
Ah, eles não aparecem em todo jogo. E só a partir do estágio 6.
And they're probably going to be around a 2-star 4 cost in power. So if you imagine Remix Rumble and hitting your 4 cost headliner, imagine that.
Salve, Max. Valeu
Except
pelos
you can
18
start them up
meses.
again
Chay, obrigado pelos
and
11.
The power difference that you mentioned, I
1%?
think, is also
Ah,
really
isso eu já não
interesting
gostei.
from an audio and art perspective as
Isso eu já não
well,
gostei.
since 5 costs for us are usually the ceiling, right? That's where we invest most of our effort to make them feel really special. But in this case, we don't want to take away from our 5 costs, but we want to raise the bar even higher for our 6 costs.
I think also the 6 costs all kind of get a big moment at some point.
Não, guys,
And
vocês
I'm
ouviram
sure
ele
that gives you
falando
guys
que
a
o
lot
curso
to work
6 vai
with.
ser
Alright, I think
equiparável a
we're
um
ready
curso
to talk
4
about
2
Mel.
estrelas. Não é
Her
quem ainda
character in
ganhou.
the show, going
Mas
from
ainda
a
assim, né?
politician to an incredibly powerful mage is so exciting, and I'm really glad we got to capture it.
How Mel
Guys,
restores
o que eu não
powers,
quero
that
é
was
que, tipo,
something
uma
we really
pessoa
wanted to
hit e
translate
outras
through in the
não,
audio as
tipo.
well. We were very
E ela
lucky
seja
we were
salva
able to
por
work with the
1%.
Arcane audio team, and they were able to send us over some of the sounds that they had used to create Mel's magic.
For animation side, we wanted to capture her elegance in her movements. Also, one of her perk ability is to save.
Salve, Corazive,
tactician
obrigado
from
pelos 22
elimination,
meses. Tamo
and
junto.
That's where the VFX.
Eu não sei
shine.
quando entra. Não deve ser hoje, não, nem fudendo.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the, when we just say like fun challenge, right? We wanted Mel to feel like you were cheating.
The first time we saw these 6 costs cast their ability and then read their passive, we're just like, there's no way they're allowed to do this. And then we go and talk to Julian and it's
O
like, no,
próximo
that's
patch é só
actually
daqui
what we
2
want. We want
semanas,
everyone
né?
to feel that feeling because hopefully everyone gets to play with one of these during the set. And they're just like, that's cool. That's what I want to do.
Moving on to Warwick. Warwick was a champion.
Cara, vai
who
ser
kind of
muito
built the
raro.
experiment trait. We knew from the start we were putting Warwick in. We said, great, let's just do
É
this
realmente
entire trait around him.
evento.
And of course, by doing that, we did give a 6 cost a trait.
Julian comes up to me and is like, Warwick has to be in experiment. He has
Só aparece
to
no
have a trait. He
10?
is the
Não,
expert.
ele, tipo.
These 6 costs,
Eu
you
acho
should
que ele
think
não
about putting
depende
them
de
on your
level.
board
Ele
every
aparece a
single
partir do
That's how
estágio
good
6 e
and
não
that's how
depende de
powerful
level.
they are. And so you've
Ou é
kind
só
of
no
noticed that you
10?
read all
Eles
these
falaram
abilities,
isso?
They all have a hook that is good when they're 0 items, and they all kind of transform when you have 3 items, right? Warwick is going to execute anyone on the board below 20% HP, and if you put 3 items on him, he goes berserk. And if we put experiment, which has a nice little trigger whenever he kills something, he goes that extra level.
Não é só no
Warwick
10 não,
also
pô.
has a lot of expectations behind him, right? Unlike Viktor, who is really very different from his League of Legends interpretation, or Mel, who is a new character, Warwick, we wanted to feel like Warwick. Players love Warwick. Rachel, can you go into that process?
Of course, yeah. It's like you mentioned, we're already so familiar with how Warwick sounds in League of Legends and from previous iterations of TFT sets. So here, what we wanted to do was to make sure that we retained a lot of those audio cues so that he still feels familiar to what we already know, while at the same time making sure that we're incorporating as much of his arcane self as we can. 2 things that we focused on, for example, are 1, bringing in the sounds of the anomaly, the low gurgling, the high chittering sounds, along with some of the sounds of the
Cara, olha o
shimmer,
tamanho
the
do WW.
shrieky type sounds that you'll hear with that, and really combining all of those to make his kit really shine.
For Warwick, we wanted to capture his movement to be more feral, berserk, kind of contrast to Mel, where she has a lot of arcs and slow movement. This time it's all
Mas não vai dar pra
percent
irritar esses campeões
shooting
2
very
estrelas,
fast,
eu
with
acho.
straight lines, goes over the top, even in VFX and everything. Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about easily the most exciting 6 cost to make. One of your favorite characters from League, one of your favorite characters from the show.
Será que dá pra
your favorite
nicar?
6 cost to play, Viktor.
Viktor is the pinnacle of challenges that finalization faced, but also the cool things that we get to do with 6 cost, right? We've never put in a unit that not only hits the entire board, but also stuns the entire board, and then actually has the rest of his spells. And that just encapsulates what a 6 cost is. I think the set's design team came to us and says, hey, play these champions, and our playtest, which is a bunch of Challenger and above players, can't be higher than Challenger, what am I saying? But a bunch of really, really good players, and the first time we see these abilities, we're just like, there's just no way they're trying to ship this. And they're like, no, that's the perfect reaction. That's what we want people to feel, and that's why we're making them these rare, super, super exciting moments in the game. And again, you're not gonna see them every game. You might see one every like 1 or 2, and if you're lucky enough, they'll be on your team, right?
First seeing Viktor's spell
Ou
was
dois
awesome. I was like,
jogos.
oh, this is going to be such a cool moment for everyone. The really cool thing about it, though, is that from an audio perspective, something we're always thinking about is, you know, we've got up to 20 champions on the field at once. How do we make sure that the important gameplay moments are still audible for all of those champions? Because Viktor is actually stopping everything for a second.
Não, o Viktor é muito quebrado, sério, o Viktor é muito quebrado, olha isso.
Moment where we're able to do a lot more sonically than we normally would. We have much more frequency spectrum room, so we're really able to bring out that anomaly powered moment.
Viktor was a very interesting character from the season 1 and season 2, where he changes over time. He starts with the innocent guy with the cane, becomes uncontrollable god, where he can influence everything, the whole universe. So we wanted to capture that in game, where his movements and everything is very calculated, and usually we try to align the thematics.
Parece que não é 1% no level 10, é 1% a partir do estágio
his
6.
animations will feel like he's very effortlessly lifting everyone up, but his actual influence to the board in the game is massive.
As for power budget,
he is the pinnacle of what a 6 cost should be, and what we want players to feel. Essentially, you write down what he does, he's broken. He's one of the main reasons we
Ele é
have
broken.
such restrictions on getting a 6 cost, right? You're kind of guaranteed to get one at some point.
Os caras
If you're
largaram o
really
7,
lucky,
velho.
Maybe you can send your 6 cost into the anomaly, and then you have a probably OP champion
Ué,
becoming
como assim mandar seu
insane.
custo 6 pra
Thank you all for
anomalia?
joining me to talk about 6 costs.
Thank you.
Então não é o estágio, pô.
Yes.
Hey Tacticians, I'm Dylan, Global TFT Esports Strategist. We're just a couple weeks out from the Macau Open, TFT's annual LAN tournament, where players come from far and wide to battle it out in a brand new set over the course of one incredible weekend. The best part about the Open is that anyone from anywhere can walk away with the belt. It'll be played on the updated version of Into the Arcane that has our new 6 cost, so expect to see the meta evolve as you watch, or play, or watch and play at the same time. But the tournament really is just the beginning. This is a weekend that's all about celebrating TFT. We'll have show matches on a LAN exclusive Mimi version of TFT, meet and greets with TFT stars, as well as an in-client hub. We'll also have a global roster of co-streamers and unique emotes to collect by watching them, and a cheeky new little legend inspired by this year's location and its iconically delicious egg tarts. Last but not least, on the final day, we'll reveal our 2025 roadmap with a preview of our set thematics for the entirety of next year. Check out the article we just dropped for all the details. Before I send you back over to Sean to tell you about one last thing, we'll give you a sneak peek of Chibi releasing, especially for the Open. Chibi Porcelain Aurelia, show them what's what.
Ué, exclusivamente pra Macau, guys. Eu votei, vocês não.
We've got one last thing to share. We hope you've been loving our very first tactician in our new style. With this update, we're bringing another familiar face to join Jinx in the Convergence. Every week is now Warwick. Arcane Season 2's version of Warwick is the ultimate expression of furiosity and
O
uncontrollable
Vander virou
buttons.
Warwick?
And this new tactician will reflect exactly that. Thanks so much for watching and playing. It's been a pleasure bringing Arcane to life in the Convergence, and we hope you love it.
Não, esse WW é foda. Tá, guys, seguinte, eu tô vendo muita gente preocupada, achando que vai ser tipo, ah, agora o 7 é corrida pra achar Viktor, que não sei o que, blá 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 blá. Guys, não vai ser isso. Você não tem controle de achar um Viktor. A expectativa deles é que vocês vejam isso, vocês consigam isso 1, 2 jogos no set. No set, tá ligado?
all came down to the giant hextech
O problema é aquilo, vai ter jogo que você vai achar que você vai ganhar e um cara vai irritar um Viktor. Eu quero ver o momento que ele fala a condição que pode começar a vir, porque uma hora ele falou que, tipo, você pode pôr anomalia no seu Viktor, e na outra ele falou que só aparece a partir do estágio 6, pô.
Noticed that some very important arcane characters were missing from the set. That's because we wanted to wait until we could give them the
1 ou 2
entrance
por
they
partida?
deserve.
Ah, sim, ok,
Warwick,
my bad.
Viktor, and Nell are joining into the arcane as ultra-powerful 6 costs. They're rare, extremely rare.
Não, mas tipo assim, definitivamente em termos, tipo, como jogador competitivo, essa mudança é uma bosta. É horrível pro jogo. Pô, tu lançar um boneco que eles assumidamente falam ele vai ser quebrado, é uma merda. Eu tô pondo esse meu lado de lado, eu tô só levando em consideração o flow de Arcane, tá ligado?